invest in a company individually and together. So those limits have been significantly enhanced, and all of it has been rationalized in line with OCIs and NRIs. Other than that, the FEM NDI rules, we intend to review it for two things. One is, again, we are continuously in touch with investors. There are asks over there. So instead of doing it one by one, this shows the intent of the government to actually reach out and address the world which is interested in investing in India and make it easy for them to do so.
214.
मैम, मैं आलोक प्रियदर्शी हूँ CNBC आवाज से। मैम, मेरा सवाल यही है कि जो सवाल STT से रिलेटेड है, सिक्योरिटी ट्रांजैक्शन टैक्स से, मैम यहाँ पे मैम जो पॉलिसी है फ्यूचर एंड ऑप्शन लेग को लेकर सरकार की क्या पॉलिसी है, थोड़ा सा स्पष्ट करें। और दूसरा कि जो STT बढ़ाया गया है, बहुत ही जैसे रेवेन्यू सर ने कहा कि बहुत मामूली बढ़ोतरी की गई है, तो क्या इससे जो सरकार की पॉलिसी कि रिटेल इन्वेस्टर्स को ऐसे जो बहुत हाई रिस्क की इंस्ट्रूमेंट है उनमें निवेश से एक तरह से कॉशन करने की पॉलिसी है, तो क्या इससे ये मकसद हासिल होता है क्या?
I'll ask the Revenue Secretary to go into the details, but आपका विषय जो मकसद के ऊपर बात कर रहे हैं ना, मैं पिछले बजट के समय में भी इसका एक्सप्लेन भी की। We are touching only the futures and options. STT otherwise बाकी सब का ट्रांजैक्शन के ऊपर कोई नहीं किया, मगर जहां स्पेकुलेशन, हिंदी में सट्टा बोलते हैं, स्पेकुलेशन ज्यादा और समटाइम्स हाईली रिस्की, क्योंकि हमें मैसेज आता है लोगों से कि इधर बहुत लॉस भी फेस कर रहे हैं लोग जिनके हाथ में इतना एक्स्ट्रा पैसा भी नहीं है जिससे वो स्पेकुलेट कर सकते हैं। सो दिस नॉमिनल इंक्रीज इज प्योरली एम्ड एट हाई स्पेकुलेशन, ओनली टू डिटर देम। मकसद बोल रहे हैं, हाँ, उनको थोड़ा डिस्करेज करने के लिए। हम इसके खिलाफ नहीं है, जरूर एक्टिविटी जो होता है उसका रेस्पेक्ट करते हैं, मगर इतने लॉस और इतने छोटे छोटे लोग का लॉस को सरकार देखकर कैसे आप चुप रह सकते हो? डिटर करो थोड़ा उसको पीछे हटने के लिए, बस उतना ही।
So the tax is only one element of kind of supplementing or supporting that policy, which is what I explained before. In as far as the rest of what and how this market has to be regulated is probably for the market regulator to respond better on that aspect.
67 from the center.
I'm Pallavi from CNN News 18. Little political question, because the reactions are coming in from the opposition parties. Rahul Gandhi specifically says that the budget has failed to go in for a course correction and that it not address the real concerns of the country.
With due respects, I don't know what course correction he is referring to. Economy and its fundamentals are strong. Global uncertainty is facing many of our sectors, for whom we have brought in so many different schemes for those small and medium enterprises, for textiles, for leather, for shoe uppers, for people who are working in the rural areas, schemes for benefiting them, for even the farmer and value addition, for women entrepreneurs who are chote groups, self-help entrepreneurs, the she marts that we've come up with. These are ways in which we are reaching out to the common small people to make sure that they don't have to face big changes in their life because of any volatility coming from outside. They could be contributing to exporting small things, but different uncertainties can affect them equally. Many of them have been shown as successful because you see when you go there, Lakpati Didis is a fantastic difference made to women in the rural areas. Now we are bringing them together to sell their wares. Are these not measures through which we are reaching out for the poor, the small, those in a difficult terrain or in rural areas? And with all this, the fundamentals of the economy remain strong. And that has come out even in the economic survey. So, well, politically you want to criticize, you're welcome, please do it. But if you want to give me the facts on which you're basing your argument, I'm willing to hear and willing to reply to that.
16. the center. Yeah. Left side.
Ma'am, I am Bani Kinkar Patnaik from the Economic Times. Ma'am, I think probably one of the most important features of this budget is that for the first time in probably many years, your effective capital expenditure at 4.4% of GDP is going to be slightly higher than your fiscal deficit, projected fiscal deficit for the next year. So it means, I mean, in other words, you will be using more than your entire borrowed resources. You will be deploying that in productive spending. So I wanted to ask you that, whether it is going to be the new normal in the coming years. And ma'am, one clarification I needed. This VV Jiramji scheme, you have allocated more than 95,000 crore. At the same time, I see that, Narega has also got 30,000 crore. So is it going to be on top of that, or because Jiramji scheme is supposed to replace this Narega scheme?
I'll ask the expenditure secretary to respond on that.
On the new scheme, the GRAMG, the budget provision has been provided exactly as what you would have seen when the bill was being presented and the act was there. So we have gone exactly whatever is required has been provided. Now on the old scheme also having some money, in fact, it's a legacy of the inefficient way in which the scheme was, the MG and Narega was being implemented by the states. So there is some carryover of liabilities, 30,000 crores. So that we have taken the responsibility of verifying and fulfilling it. So that's why we have kept that, but otherwise fresh implementation will be on the new provisions.
I would say that the fact that we have an annual budget means that we review everything annually. So I will leave it at that. We have done our fiscal math, and I think we come with a certain credibility on the fisc that we are confident of meeting, and while adhering to our commitment to higher capex. And fiscal deficit financing, as we have always done, is through a mix of market borrowings as well as NSSF. So that will continue. So there's not many major changes like that. Thank you.
37 at the back. Yeah.
Hi ma'am, this is Shrimi Chaudhary from NDTV Profit. Just wanted to understand that this one-time foreign asset disclosure scheme, how that will be different from the similar scheme in the past, and if you could elaborate a contour of that, and also is there any estimation of undisclosed foreign assets being done by the department?
So this scheme is meant, first of all, for small taxpayers. There is a ceiling of the amount that can be disclosed. This window was provided for the first 3 months when the act was brought in, the BMA Act, and that time people utilized it. What has been found is that there are many small taxpayers who, because of their ignorance, etc., have not been able to do proper disclosures. So this window is being given as a one-time 6-month window for such small taxpayers, the list of which some idea of who they are has been given in the budget speech also. So there are two streams in this window. One is of the people who have paid their tax, the income is disclosed and is quite transparently known. All that they failed to do is they were not able to disclose the asset, foreign asset that they had because of that. Which means they will be able to prove that the income was put to tax. However, the asset was not, just the only thing they did not do is did not disclose it in their returns to the income tax department. So this is the window B, where we are saying that if you have a foreign asset of up to 5 crores, you can pay a fine of 1 lakh rupees, which today under the act would have entailed them a fine of 10 lakh, a penalty of 10 lakh rupees and prosecution. So you will get both immunity from penalty and prosecution, and you can declare those assets. This is category B. There would also be category of people who may not have been able to or have not properly disclosed their income. This is the category A, for which this limit is 1 crore rupees. So 1 crore rupees of foreign asset or income, if they have not disclosed, then they can disclose it during this window. In this case, however, they will have to pay the tax as well as 30% tax and then 30% additional tax on top of that and a certain amount of interest. Again, they will get immunity from penalty and prosecution. The idea is to essentially help those NRIs, returning NRIs, students, some professionals, people who have gone out, people who may have got ESOPs, any kind of such assets that they may have outside. They'll be able to disclose it and be able to protect themselves against penalty and prosecution and come clean. And it has been structured in a manner that it addresses only small assets. And secondly, it is something which will be helping them to also, get away from all the procedural problems of penalty and prosecution.
25.
Hello, ma'am. Ruchika Chitravanshi from Business Standard. Ma'am, while you have stated that global uncertainty was playing on the minds of officials across the board, if I may ask you, what was the one challenge that you were trying to address, or economic concern that you were trying to address in this budget?
And we said global uncertainties play in the minds of all the officials. It is a truth that all of us are watching that global uncertainties are really of the magnitude that we've never seen before. So naturally, we had to assess for ourselves the various ways in which these uncertainties are playing out. So all of them are equally important.
243.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Kriti Ambe from Informist Media. Ma'am, this year's nominal GDP projection, the projection of 393 lakh crore, does it take into account the upcoming base year revision, or is it possible that this number would undergo further revision when MOSPI releases the new base year and releases its estimates based on the new base year by the end of February?
Let the CEA and the Secretary EA answer that.
The 393 lakh crores or 10% nominal GDP growth was arrived at based on the existing GDP base year and the methodology.
Ma'am, if I could follow up on that, back in 2015 when the base year revision had happened, the previous year's 14 and 13 numbers went up, nominal number went up by what, odd 9 lakh crore. So if FY26 number goes up by that sort of magnitude, or even if not from 357, it goes to 360, your fiscal deficit estimate would come down even further. So do you think there is possibility?
You began your question with the if, right? No answers from my side for ifs.
Sure, thank you, ma'am.
45. I think what sent.
Hello ma'am, this is Pushpita Dey from the New Indian Express. So a lot of custom duty reductions have been introduced. So how do you see the impact on the revenue, and also particularly for the consumer goods like 50% duty reduction, will there be any measures to ensure there is no dumping after the reduction happen? And also, not particularly related to the budget, after the recent Tiger Global Tax Supreme Court verdict, do you see there will be any impact on the foreign investment for India? Thank you.
Customs duty, the reductions, etc., which have been given have a logic for that sector, the need for those items to be brought into India, and customs duty not to add cost to it. So there is an economic logic of why it has been done. And if you have seen, most of them are meant to essentially enhance either manufacturing or value addition within India, or help the cause of exporters who are using those imported items to export items from out of India. So this is a very conscious sectoral call. For each sector item, the value chain has been analyzed, based upon which decision on whatever moderation or whatever calibration of duties were to be done have been done. The second part in terms of revenues, etc. is concerned, what you would have seen is there are a lot of custom process reforms that have been proposed. And the idea is essentially to enhance the volume of international trade, which should fetch us more revenues rather than playing on the rate itself. So we do hope that these process reforms will encourage more people to kind of, export in the process, probably the part of global value chain, more exports, and duty or revenues will be a result of that buoyancy.
I just want to add one additional point to what my colleague Revenue Secretary said. If you look at many of the customs duty reliefs given in Part B, you have to read them in conjunction with the announcements made in Part A on manufacturing. So you look at electronic component manufacturing and you look at the concessions given in Part B, there is a certain logic, alignment and synergy between the two. So that's exactly what you need to focus on.
So actually, the fear of dumping there, will you be monitoring it? We are looking at only those sectors where we need to have our production capabilities improved, and raw materials shouldn't be a constraint on those items which are necessary for us. So it is a very calibrated way in which we've done it.
39. Front.
Thank you, sir. Congratulations, ma'am, and everybody. Karishma from Business Today. Ma'am, I just want to also continue the question on the rural employment scheme. A couple of states have shared skepticism and apprehension if they'll be able to fiscally absorb it and if they have the appetite on the cost sharing for the scheme. Ma'am, second, just a follow-up question, if there could be an update given on IDBI disinvestment.
I think the Agriculture Minister has spent a lot of time interacting with states to tell them what actually is Vikasit Bharat Gram, the G Ramji program is about. It is not about money. We have continuously given. That's why you heard Expenditure Secretary say, Manrega, balance which had to be carried forward, had to be provisioned for, we had to pay them back. Although inefficiently spent, we have to still give them, though we made the provision. And Vikasit Bharat Ji Ramji, as was at the time of the act getting passed, whatever was predicted was going to be provided, we provided for that. So I think there need not be any doubts in the minds of what is going to happen about rural employment guarantee scheme. In a way, the new scheme actually understands how efficiently it can function in the ground. Inefficiencies have been removed from it, and the money allocation proves that we have put the money where we spoke about. So that's fine. All disinvestments which have been approved by the cabinet earlier, that list will continue to be before us, and we will carry forward every such. And on specific, if you want to know, we have our Deepam Secretary. Please do tell.
I think one thing we must keep in mind is that we follow a composite strategy, and disinvestment and closure have to be seen together as part of that composite strategy, which enhance or increase the participation and efficiency of the private sector. As part of that strategy, as Honorable FM said, whatever in principle approvals we have obtained for both disinvestment and closure, say about 50 of them, half of them have already been completed, which means about 12 closures and 13 strategic disinvestment transactions. The other ones are on track. That is why we keep aspirational targets, because we are fully on track and fully committed to completing each one of them and taking to a logical conclusion. Thank you. Yes.
81. Backside.
नमस्ते, मैं कृष्ण मोहन शर्मा, भारत एक्सप्रेस से। मेरे दो छोटे छोटे सवाल हैं। एक तो मुझे याद है कि दीपावली के दिन मैंने पूछा था कि फार्मास्यूटिकल सेक्टर में क्या करेंगे, तो आज आपने पिटारा खोल दिया उसके। आई एम वेरी हैप्पी। दूसरा सवाल मैम ये है मैम कि यूनिवर्सिटी टाउनशिप बनाने की आपने 5 बात की, क्योंकि डेवलप्ड इंडिया के लिए बहुत ज़रूरी है। लेकिन प्राइमरी एजुकेशन और सेकेंडरी एजुकेशन, जो कि हमारे बैकबोन है ग्रोथ का भारत के लिए, उसके लिए इसमें क्या है? और दूसरा अभी मैं एक शो करके आया हूं, उसमें लोग पूछ रहे थे कि मिडिल क्लास के लिए बजट में क्या है, बजट में क्या है।
हायर एजुकेशन के लिए जब हम 5 यूनिवर्सिटी हब्स बनाने जा रहे हैं, it is very important to recognize that आज प्राइवेट सेक्टर में यूनिवर्सिटीज़ बहुत आ रहे हैं, स्टेट्स का मन लग रहा है कि और हायर एजुकेशन सेंटर्स ज़रूर है, होना चाहिए। इन सब को सुनने के बाद हम हायर एजुकेशन में और ऑप्शंस ले आ रहे हैं, जिससे हर तरह का कोर्स उस हब्स में बने। आर स्टूडेंट्स डोंट नीड टू गो आउट इन केस उनको वीज़ा नहीं मिला और बोरोइंग करके जाना है। उस क्वालिटी का एजुकेशन भारत में ही हो, इसीलिए जितने भी स्टेट्स वो क्या बोलते हैं, चैलेंज मोड में आकर के बोलेंगे कि हम ज़मीन देने के लिए तैयार है, मल्टी स्पेशलिटी हॉस्पिटल जैसे बनाते हैं, ऐसे यूनिवर्सिटीज़ विद different types of courses can all come and set up, and this will also mean partnering with universities abroad. So higher education में जो flexibility के साथ function करना है और हमारे students जो बाहर जा रहे हैं उनको उसी quality के education इधर देने का, ये नहीं कह रही हूँ मैं कि हमारे universities में quality नहीं है, मगर aspirational लोग को कुछ और certificate जब चाहते हैं वो certificate क्यों ना भारत में ही ना मिलना, why don't we provide for it? And इसीलिए वो scheme ले आए. So it does not immediately mean that we are not going to be spending on primary and secondary. Primary and secondary में इतनी सारे states के साथ collaborate करते हुए PM श्री स्कूल हो, नवोदय विद्यालय हो, प्राइमरी से लेकर हायर सेकेंडरी तक बहुत सारे कदम पिछले 5 साल में उठाया गया। न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी आने के बाद उन सबको अभी भी सपोर्ट मिलेगा सेंटर से, हम कम नहीं कर रहे हैं बजट को।
22 the front.
Hello ma'am, good afternoon. This is Surbhi from Business Today. Ma'am, firstly I wanted to understand the impact of your tax proposals both on the direct and indirect tax side and as well as the net implication. Ma'am, secondly, a very basic question in terms of your new fiscal anchor on central government debt reduction. What are the measures that will be followed on that? Thank you.
So on the new fiscal anchor, we, like it has been announced, the glide path will be continued, and fiscal deficit, in other words, shall be the operational target to attain the debt to GDP. So it's not that we are going away from the fiscal deficit, it's not going to be the monitorable target, the target will be the debt to GDP that we are going to be monitoring, but both do work in tandem, and that is understandable. That's the way we are anchoring this.
So I have already explained the growth rates for the tax the next year. So if you look at the buoyancy, for example, for direct tax, we are taking the buoyancy would be around 1.14. So which shows that we expect that with all these reforms, the tax growth should become and would be growing at a rate faster than that of the economy itself. So we do expect the tax income, the tax revenues to be sufficiently buoyant in the coming year.
46 this side left.
Ma'am, this is Priyansh from Money Control. I have 2 questions. One is on the GST. So the GST numbers that the target for FY27 is 2.5% lower than this year's target. So although there has been, this is due to the reduction in rates, but when can we expect the growth to be in the positive territory? And second question on the nominal GDP number, have you taken under consideration the conclusion of the trade deal with US on the nominal GDP? And if it is concluded, can it be higher?
So the nominal GDP, as the CEA explained, has been calculated on an as-is where-is basis, which includes the US-India trade deal as is where is. When things change, we will see how the data shows up.
249.
GST revenues, what is the question? Can you repeat it? No. You will have to account the fact that compensation cess is not going to be there the next year. So you'll have to exclude that, which is why you would see our monthly figures are showing other than compensation cess. That is the right number to look at.
Hello, ma'am. This is Priyoshmita from Informist Media. Ma'am, since you mentioned that gross borrowing for FY27 is not particularly high, can we expect more buybacks this year as well to bring down subsequent repayments? And secondly, are you looking to switch bonds with the RBI as well to manage your repayments? You did this this year in May after a gap of 2 years. Thank you.
So the reason we do buybacks and switching is basically to reduce our repayment burden and to mitigate the bunching up effect, and also to manage the costs. So we did a significant switching of high coupon securities this year. Next year, this 5.5 lakh crore which needs to be repaid, as they keep coming up, we will be taking decisions closer to those, while work is continuously going on this in one division of DEA.
24. Mike.
Ma'am, this is Rajesh Singh from ANI. My question, could you clarify some measures in the budget to boost savings? Because there was some demand by bankers for FDs to be linked with like equity benefit, or NPS scheme were demanding some kind of tax benefit. Because we need greater savings for greater growth.
We need greater savings for greater role, all right, and the banks know how to do it.
9.
Hi, this is Adija from Money Control. I had 2 questions. One was on the fact that the economic survey had also raised some concerns about states' fiscal health and their borrowing, putting pressure on the sovereign borrowing rates also. I just wanted to understand, has the center thought about how do we want to tackle this with the states, because we are targeting a debt to GDP ratio, but we know overall debt to GDP ratio is the anchor that most global agencies look at and ideally needs to be looked at. Second, my question was on the FEMA rule changes. I just wanted to understand with the interaction with the investors or, the stakeholders, globally, what are the kind of demands or what are the kind of requests that are coming in, especially amid the status when it comes to foreign investor outflows. So what are we looking at, if we've thought about anything yet?
We're talking with states about their borrowing can only be done as a nudge conversation. Beyond that, the center cannot do. Equally, if you look at it, the center is also under Article 293(3), duty bound to make sure that the borrowings of the states are also monitored in a way. We can't curb them, but beyond their FRBM, we can sit with them and have a conversation. But that's about where it is, and I think largely states understand their duty under the FRBM Act. So I leave it there, you understand. But on this question, the next question, the NDA.
So on the NDI rules, there is a whole bunch of suggestions that we've got, but it's not like a review has started and a serious public consultation in a structured way started. So there have been, I don't remember from the top of my head, but some things on the definition of FDI itself, some investors have raised. And there are other such things, but when we like ma'am has announced today that a review will be taken place. So when we start the process formally, there will be formal interaction with investors and we'll take it forward.
237, the third row. इसके बाद 2 लोग बचे हैं. Last 2 questions after this.
I'm Nico Chori from Reuters. Ma'am, I have 2 questions. One on your announcement on exempting foreign companies that provide capital assets or equipments to contract manufacturers. They have been given a 5-year exemption. So will that help the likes of Apple and Samsung that have been ramping up production in India but face some tax uncertainty? And second, on the tax holiday for data centers. would that be extended to existing companies that have existing foreign companies that have data centers? And lastly, there was a suggestion in the economic survey. I want to ask you whether the government would look at implementing it on diluting government stake in listed public sector companies. It suggested that you amend the definition of a government company through Companies Act and then lower your stake. So will that be given a serious thought? Thank you.
See, the contract manufacturing, that is the toll manufacturing exemption that has been given, essentially is for the companies which will give their capital goods. There will be no transaction, there will be no sale, no lease. It's just given because they have some reason to do it, business reason to do it. And it is utilized by the entity here to manufacture. So this will be in a bonded zone, customs bonded zone. Therefore, we are saying that if you bring your machine, and that machine is used by a local manufacturer to produce something, we will not consider this to be a PE connection to India, and we'll exempt you for 5 years. I mean, for 5 years, the possibility of it being PE because its machine is being used here is something we are giving him certainty by saying that we'll be exempting it for 5 years. So there'll be, for example, if a big company sends its proprietary manufacturing, testing, or some tools and machines here, and because of which its global income gets into the risk of being taxed, is what we are giving certainty on by saying that for 5 years we'll be exempting it.
The second part of your question, if you read the economic survey carefully, it talked about two alternatives. One is that we change the definition of a government company and bring it down from 51 downwards. And the second is we bring the equity below 51 following a strategic path, which could mean we look for a strategic partner, which could also mean a consortium or a joint venture approach where it may not be a government company, but it will still be a public or a government controlled company, which gives it more flexibility to operate. And as you know, economic survey is an ideation document. Once we consider that in the policy framework, we also have the Atmanirbhar Policy 21, which is doing very well. We will weave it all together. It is policy in evolution. And we will consider all these aspects before taking a step forward. Thank you.
11.
Ma'am, this is Anup Roy from Bloomberg. So your nominal GDP assumption is pretty conservative even this year. Given that CA has given a growth rate of 7.2%, so are we assuming inflation at 2.8% for the year? And does that show that inflation is structurally down in India?
Inflation is down in India and it is remaining there for some time. And inflation is just not the only one which is a deflator, but however, largely you depend on that. And I think therefore the assumption of the nominal GDP is realistic. So we cannot, for the reasons well known that you want a nominal GDP to be a higher number, cannot bring in factors which are beyond the usual calculation.
I think one more question we can take. 137. Take the mic.
I'm Rakesh Kumar from New Indian Express. My question is around the electronic manufacturing as you allocated 40,000 crore rupees. So just want to know, does it include the ISM 2.0 amount?
Does it include what?
Indian Semiconductor Mission 2.0.
That's a separate, no, ISM 2.0 is separate.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. You already asked. Thank you very much.